I'm Abby Johnson, president of the Virginia PACE Authority, the leading CPACE program administrator in Virginia. We have commissioned a series of interviews with our registered CPACE capital providers that we'd like to share with you today. These short interviews highlight the programs that they are offering, as well as their interest in the state of Virginia's program and some fun facts about themselves. Enjoy! Hello, everyone. I'm Abby Johnson with Virginia PACE Authority, and I'm here with Ethan Elser of PACE Equity. Welcome.
Hi, thank
How are
you.
you?
Thanks for having me. Good to chat with you virtually.
I know.
Always fun right now.
I know. Miss our in-person, fun times at Pace Nation and other places, but one day we'll have you back in Virginia. So briefly, I just want to give an overview of you and then lead into some questions. Pace Equity is a leading funding firm for CPACE development projects in the country. PACE Equity has unmatched expertise utilizing PACE in complex and innovative ways, having pioneered the use of PACE funding for projects in new construction, opportunity zones, historic and new market tax credits, brownfield, and also those receiving a TIF. And I will say, by the way, and interjecting here, that I have used your opportunity zone case study multiple times.
Thank you.
So thank you for having that available to all the rest of us. PACE Equity provides an end-to-end approach to PACE, providing all the needed compliance, engineering, and approvals internally. Also, PACE Equity, I'll just say personally, was very helpful in getting one of our second county overall in Virginia enabled, Loudoun County. So thanks for that. I really wanted to actually know because of your long time experience in PACE and also seeing how things have changed, I wanted to ask what you're working on now and what has changed, if anything, since the pandemic.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time, and I think that this is really a great moment for the PACE industry. One thing we're finding is that access to capital is really challenged at the moment. So you've got a couple of different groups trying to do different things, but you still have people who are trying to say build out their capital stack. And what's happened is that lenders are pulling back and out of the market. So there's now just a gap where the deals are not really making, enough sense, whereby PACE coming in to complete that capital stack to fund clean energy improvements, resiliency, and renewables is now more attractive than ever. And I would say that the banks and lenders who are still in the market are looking for creative ways to get deals done. So we're just finding that there's a lot more opportunities and a lot more kind of willingness to hear the story, find out why it makes sense, why, lender consent, is something that should be considered. I think what we're also seeing though, is a lot of people focused on both their operating expenses in general and about how they can refresh their space, their building, and make it more, I don't want to say, kind of post-COVID friendly, but make sure that they're providing the best environment, that they can. So indoor air quality improvements, refreshed HVAC, new lighting. A lot of the owners out there that we talk to are saying, while my occupancy is light because people are working at home or that new tenant is taking more time to move in, they're thinking that this is a great time to do those renovations, and PACE is a fantastic fit to pay for them.
That's great to hear, and it's interesting. That's what we're starting to see in Virginia, just in general. That initially, everything kind of shut down, but now I'm getting phone calls from some developers who kind of said, "Yeah, PACE 5-6%. I can do it for 3.5." Well, now that opportunity is no longer available, and now they're like, "Is PACE in Richmond yet?" I'm like, "Not yet. It's been passed, but we don't have a program, so I'll let you know."
It's coming.
Yeah, right. So actually, let's focusing in on Virginia.
Yeah.
As you know, we now have resiliency and stormwater management as
very exciting.
I know, and I know that you're aware of that. We're very supportive of that change.
Absolutely.
Specifically in Hampton Roads, where not only is BPA has a grant to actually identify projects and develop marketing material and actually financial tools to specifically use CPACE for resiliency. We also know that now that we're part of the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, half of the money that the state gets will go to coastal Virginia, i.e. Hampton Roads, to address issues around storm surges, flooding, et cetera.
Yeah.
So do you have any particular ideas of how you would address Hampton Roads area and in Virginia and resiliency, I guess?
Well, I think it's great, and there's several states where PACE can fund other items than just say the traditional maybe energy, water, and renewables. And so it just gives really property owners and developers more tools in their toolbox. And that may be, I really need to install some, backup and stormwater surge protections, and I'm just struggling to finance that. Or maybe we find often that some of these projects are just too small to consider refinancing their whole loan or getting a second mortgage. So I think it's really a great opportunity to tackle these maybe one-off, smaller size projects. Or think of, again, going back to maybe I'm acquiring a new building, or I'm building a new building. How do I just from day one incorporate all these items I can to ensure my investment is safe for the next 30, 50, 100 years? This is the way. This is the additional access to capital whereby you can, think long term, but not have to, be kind of, in a sense, penalized for installing these higher efficiency, higher, water barrier items, from day one. So it's really, I think, just educating about, here's, maybe about PACE, maybe for boilers and HVAC and windows, but did you know that it can also be used for this? And that, in our experience, really gets people's minds going.
Yeah, and then have you seen that when you do that, you say, okay, I need to, I'm in a floodplain in Norfolk,
Right.
for example, and I'm
Right.
going to need to finally raise my equipment or put in flood guards or wet proof, dry proof, whatever it is. Do you see sometimes in these kind of, I'm like seismic in California and hurricane, and
Right.
do you see them doing other things then after they've done that initial, they've honed in on the, the resiliency related thing, and they're like, oh, by the way, I need new lighting, I need new.
Right.
Do you see that happen in some of the fields we've done?
We do, but I will say what's nice is that you can pick and choose. We've done seismic only, solar only, resiliency only projects, and we've also done a mix of them. So, to your point, Abby, it gives the property owners choices. They can say, you know what, it is a great time while I'm doing all this work to also tackle, my old lighting, my old boilers, or, I need to tackle it maybe in 2 to 5 years, but what I really need today is these stormwater protections. And that's great. And we're here to support and help in whatever way we can.
All right, that's great. Thank you. So Ethan, I have one more question for you today, and that is, what is the funniest thing that ever happened to you while working on a transaction or as part of being in the PACE, industry?
Ooh, great question. I mean, a lot of our transactions, I mean, you mentioned that most of what we do are these very complex development projects, and they just have their own life cycle. And some of our projects have had 10, 12 sources of financing. So there's always one like on the edge of collapse or kind of teetering out. And so sometimes, after working on a transaction for a year or 2 years, and then something falls through, you're almost just laughing at that point. But I think what that speaks to a little bit is why those are the hard, but also the most worthwhile transactions. And that's what we've really, as Pace Equity, chosen to specialize in. And I think our longest transaction we've ever done, I want to say, is about 3 years. But it was a fantastic grocery store in a food desert. And that was such an impactful project that it was okay that it took that long, and our customers so appreciated that we had the staying power and wanted to see that through. So I think that's really, looking back, sometimes they're funny at the time, almost, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, happened again. But, they're so impactful and so worthwhile that it really makes it worth it. And I think that's why our customers really do appreciate the relationship and the resources and value that Pace Equity brings.
That's great. I'm coming out of 2 things come to me from that: perseverance and sense of humor, and just,
Exactly.
never giving up, right?
Right.
Marathon sometimes.
Well, and if you think about working together on Loudoun County, that was, I mean, I have to think that was a 6, 9, 12-month process to get them to the table. And same thing, that, and we had a great customer who we were working with, on a project there, and hope to close, at some point in the future, maybe post COVID. But we did that hard work for that long so that we could set them up for success. And that's what it takes in some of these early days, is that working together, working to have everyone see the value of the CPACE mechanism and why it's important. So really, I'm appreciative to anyone watching this who's considering adopting PACE, wants to know where it's a fit, for taking that time and coming on this journey with us.
And I would say, Ethan, I do appreciate you in particular, but PACE Equity in general, being very supportive in Virginia. Not, it actually, you're putting out the extra effort when you don't know if you're going to get a return. So we absolutely appreciate that assistance, and maybe calling you in the future. You never know. We have new jurisdictions coming on board.
I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully. So do you have any questions for us before we wrap up?
I guess, where do you see things evolving in Virginia? I know, you've made so much progress on the state statute front and getting those new jurisdictions. And, what is the near and medium term future you think hold for PACE in Virginia?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that certainly I would bring up that there is going to be the option of having a statewide program some point next year, and that will help get the little counties, to be able to feel comfortable that they can opt in and not have to do their own RFP, their own documentation, and will alleviate that stress. So we're excited about that. I think I mentioned earlier, the regional greenhouse gas initiative, I think that having additional funding that is going to change the way fundamentally businesses, property owners, industries look at their buildings, look at their production, and they're going to have to change the way they operate, like they have in other states. And that's going to just, I hope, or I'm certainly optimistic, blossom or really make the industry become much larger and much more important. And then I think resiliency, since half of the money we're getting from that is going to that, is going to be a huge push. So we personally, as a company, we're going to be really focused on that, because if your buildings are underwater, it's not, who cares if they're energy efficient, right?
Right.
If they're not safe to occupy, who cares if they're, low carbon footprint? You got to make them good buildings overall. So thanks for asking. And that's all I have for today. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. And I hope you have a great, not too cold, hopefully, up there in Wisconsin.
Oh, it's the easy days. We haven't even had any snowfall yet, but
wow.
Thank you. It was great to catch up, and thank you for the invitation, and anything we can do to support you and Virginia CPACE, we're excited to do so.
Thank you so much, Ethan. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.